aims and objectives. Okay, let's take a look at an aim. So an aim is a goal that a business sets itself. So the most common aim that you tend to see for a business is to make a profit. It's a statement. So you can see there, to make a profit, to survive, to break even. Very simple goals to set to achieve. So that's how you define it in the exam. An aim is a goal. Okay, so after aims we have objectives. So every aim, to achieve it, we need to set objectives. These are like the smaller things that help us to achieve the aim. So an objective is something that will help the business achieve the aim. An objective to achieve the aim to make a profit could be to make an increase in sales. So that would help us to make a profit. Hopefully you can see where that goes. If we sell more items, we should make more of a profit. You could have to reduce costs. Again, that would help us to make a profit. So fairly straightforward, little steps that help us to achieve that goal. So the objectives help us to achieve our aims. So what I'd like you to do for me now is make a list of all the aims that you can think of that a new business owner may set. For each of the aims, try to think of one objective that will help them to achieve the aim. You may want to pause the video now. Okay, possible answers you could have. You could have the aim to survive. Now an objective to that could be cheaper than the competition. That would help you to survive. You may have had the obvious one, to make a profit. And you may have said an objective possibly could have been to advertise in the local newspaper. So again, you think about that, that's going to be more advertising, more marketing, so hopefully more people know about your business and you can make more money. Now, what we've done so far isn't very technical because there's nothing to measure against. So this is why we need to use this thing what's called SMART objectives. Now, SMART objectives are defined as this. So the S stands for specific. We need to ensure that any objectives we set are specific. It needs to be clear what is required to achieve that objective. So we've got to have it really clear so we know what we've got to do. The M stands for measurable. We need to be able to have something to measure if this objective has actually been achieved. This could be in the sense of a value of money, a percentage, or maybe a time frame. So we need to measure something. The A stands for achievable. Any objective we set has to be achievable. What's the point in setting objectives that we can't achieve? All that's going to do is demotivate our workforce and our staff. We need to be realistic. So any objectives we set have to be realistic. There's no point again setting objectives which are near impossible to achieve. Again, all this will do is demotivate our staff. But at the same time, we don't want to set ourselves objectives that are so easy to achieve that it's pointless. We need a challenge, but we don't need to be something that's really, really unrealistic to achieve. And last, the T stands for what's called time-based. And any objective which should have a time limit, so it should say when you've got to achieve it by. So this means that you can look back and go, have we achieved that objective or not? So that's where the SMART objective comes from. So remember, the S stands for specific, the M stands for measurable, the A stands for achievable, the R stands for realistic, and the T stands for time. So let's have a look at an example of a SMART objective. To increase sales by 20% over the next year. To spend £2,000 on newspaper advertising before the end of 2014. If you look at both of those examples, it's very clear what we have to do. In the first one, we have to increase sales by 20%, and we have to do it by the end of next year. So you can see that we can measure it, and we've got a time limit on there. We can look back next year and say, have we increased sales by 20%? If we have, then it's been achieved. If we haven't, then we failed. Think about the second one. We've got a number, a physical amount of money we've got to spend. So have we spent £2,000 on newspaper advertising before the end of the year? If we have, then great, we've achieved it. If we haven't, then no, we haven't achieved it. Okay, what I'd like you to do is have a go at writing some SMART objectives for the aims that you wrote down earlier for the new business. What I'd like you to do, if you're using Twitter and you're not doing it in the classroom, use a hashtag SMART. If you are doing it in the classroom with your teacher, just share them with your teacher as a group afterwards. You may want to pause the video now while you do this. Okay, once you complete this lesson, you should now be able to explain the difference between a business aim and a business objective. And hopefully you can also construct aims and objectives which are actually SMART. That's the most important part. And you can recall the elements of SMART objectives. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and like my YouTube channel. You can also tweet me any areas of business which you want me to cover in the future. And don't forget to check out my website, which is BeeBusinessBee.co.uk.